New York City. New York City? New York City. New York City has 7,895,563 people, one public bath, 16,250 don't walk signs, all of them carefully ignored by the residents. There are approximately 31,625,000 corpses within the city limits, and one pet crematory. New York has more pigeons than the state of Vermont has people, over 300,000. It has the only known statue of Lincoln that has somebody else's head welded on top. New York has 54 foreign language papers published in 23 different languages. It has 2 statues of Liberty, a big one and a little one. About as many Irish as there are in County Cork. And there are 11,834 eating places where most New Yorkers eat in a real hurry and drink 460,000 gallons of beer daily. Enough to keep every man, woman, and child in Muskogee, Oklahoma in a state of advanced intoxication for 3 full months. In a recent year, 581,000 New Yorkers were arrested on charges ranging from using the city morgue as a front for a call girl ring to the attempted rape of a mallard duck. New York has more full-time streetwalkers than the entire state of Nebraska has campfire girls, more than 6,500. New York City has over 500 fortune tellers, 14 fortune cookie factories, a 1-horse-powered vegetable vendor, 5 zoos, 800,000 stuffed birds, 4 whales, 73 public murals, 520 mechanical sweepers, approximately 1,752,000 people with complete sets of false teeth, and more than 5 million pets.
It's really something when you give a cookie to an ant and it won't take it. There's so much artificial junk in the cookie that the ant doesn't want it.
A man came running down from his apartment, and he said, "Thank God I'm not crazy. I've been hearing this rooster crow, and I couldn't believe it, on 46th Street.
You find everything else on 46th Street, why not a nice rooster?
I don't feel guilty about having a big dog in an apartment. He's a city dog. We've had him to the country. He doesn't like it. It's an adventure, but he wants to get home. Where all the fire hydrants are and the French poodles on the 3rd floor and the delicatessen has the door open and you go by.
Most of my friends are animals.
My landlord, who lives downstairs, does not know that any of this is walking around above him.
I spend all my time and all my money on them.
Total cost since I started has to exceed at least $10,000, a minimum.
Maybe what it really gets down to is that, living in an urban environment, you have such a craving for nature. You'll do almost anything to have that experience, even if it means keeping animals from the wild.
If Disney invented one, it would be like that. Virginia possums, they were known throughout the South. They're climbers, and they're very sophisticated for a sophisticated person, because they don't even get up till 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. They're very easy to take care of, like a member of the family, you know. So in other
They
words,
do
you
have
can go
different
away.
eating habits, though.
They'll eat almost anything. Now, these happen to be very gourmet possums. They eat cheese, special cheese, roast beef. Oh, boy, he loves his grapes. Oh, he likes his wine a little bit, too. And the other one, Blanche Dubois, that we turned loose, she was so pretty. They're like from another planet.
They're so appealing. They're little Martians. I just like to watch them.
They have almost a human look.
It's like having a science fiction plant in our room, because they don't really look like plants that grow on Earth, because they eat meat.
You'd never think a bug with that smaller brain could be that human.
I like having it in New York City, because it's like my own private garden.
They're a good pet for editors because they take care of themselves, and I'm busy with my manuscripts, and I don't have time to trim toenails or whatever other pet owners do. In a city where people tend to merge into one great anonymous mass, it's important to have something about you that's a little distinctive. This may be that for me, and to be the only beekeeper in Manhattan is probably the only thing that I'm the only one of in Manhattan. That probably is good for my old psyche. I don't get lost in the mob on the subway. I mean, they're probably going home to armadillos. I'm going home to bees.
Her son, I figure him to be about 13. He started, and he got his mother interested, and now they're flying together from their apartment fire escape.
A woman that flies from a fire escape?
In 1972, I finished second in the old hen division. I'm no different than anybody else, although the other people may think we're different. There's a crackpot up on the roof there in the cold and the wind and the rain. We stand up there waiting for the pigeon to come home.
Just when you think that if they're fascinating best or most intelligent best, they are quite apt to pee all over you.
I spend hours and hours a week mopping and cleaning, and I never get a deposit returned because there's always too much damage that's been done when I move out of an apartment.
We don't have a big apartment, so my mother doesn't want a dog or a cat or something, or a rabbit, or well, I could have had a gerbil or a hamster, but I don't really want those. I want a mouse. I have a mouse.
A professional football player came up here once as my date. And I hadn't warned him. Yes, I swear to God. It never occurred to me that this big hulk, he's one of the ones who chose not to see me again. He was scared to death. Scared to death.
I love my mouse because it's cute and it's a female, but I wish it was white, and I wish it didn't have a spot on it. Well, I like spots on mice, but I wish it was white. It's the only thing I wish it was.
A little girl came in and she said, "What is he saying?" So I said, "He's saying, kiss me, I'm really a prince." And she said, "Oh, kiss him, kiss him. Can I kiss him?" And I said, "I'd rather have a bullfrog." She looked at me.
They are great pets, and, well, besides their eating isn't so great.
She's our first lap lizard. I would be sitting on the phone and she'd come marching over and climb right up in my lap.
The animals growing and growing, and the apartment we had was not growing. Today we have this 10-foot diameter pool, and he could use a much larger pool. Members of this species get up to, I think the record size is 9 foot.
Her favorite thing is getting up in the bed, and we're trying to discourage her from that because she'll get up there and not come down for 2 days. She's very responsive. She knows her name, and when I say get down, she knows exactly what I mean. Half the time she will. The other half, she's so determined, especially in getting up in the bed, that she'll ignore me and keep going. She likes to climb upwards, but she doesn't like to climb downwards. And her second favorite pastime is climbing in our clothes. And this morning she had a breach of discipline. We had to pull her down and fall her out.
Most people who have reptiles have them in cages and stuff, and to me that's just like having a postage stamp or something like that. You have a prisoner, you know? It's not a pet at all. A pet is something which can walk around the house and which has some freedom around the house and can choose his own relationship towards you.
We
decided to try and let the creatures out to fly around the loft. But that didn't work out too well either because they're so aggressive. They compete for the territory, and the owls start to attack the cats and everybody else. Not just the cats, they go for people as well. I mean, they'll anything that moves, you know.
If it's a male, it'll live about a year. If it's female, I might have it for the next 25 years of my life. It'd be kind of neat to grow old with a tarantula.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're out of your mind.
I would not touch that thing. No way. I am really afraid of that thing, even though I know better. The colors I find very pleasing. And it's interesting to watch her feed, too, the way she jumps on a cricket and kind of sucks it in.
We sell 5,000 crickets a week. We consider them to be like walking cornflakes or, you know, little tiny cows or sheep or something like that. It's it's an industry.
We had a customer who ran the herp laboratory at NYU, was a graduate student in herpetology. His whole attitude about all of these reptiles was very textbookish. Never really had taken a very loving, humane approach, and when we showed him our bullfrog, he just flipped and subsequently wrote a paper. He took photographs of Bully dancing with me and described how he would speak in response. And he said that play behavior had never been observed in amphibians before. He went down to NYU and presented this paper and came back and said, well, the consensus at NYU is that Bully is crazy. And I sort of jokingly said, you see, now you've insulted him, you'd better apologize. And Randy, whom I'm sure 5 years ago would never have dreamed he'd find himself apologizing to a frog, said, I'm sorry, Bully, I didn't mean it. I don't think you're crazy. And Bully hopped back and went, bleh. And it was definitely a classic.
Well, it all started, me and my friend were in Manhattan with Moo. Then he asked the bartender there, gee, I got my girlfriend out in the car there. Can I bring her in? She's a little young. Bartender, sure. He goes out and brings Moo in. Everybody got a big laugh about it. They treated us all to a drink, and they bought Moo a drink. She likes her beer. She likes it right off the tap. Nice cold beer right off the tap. It was a great enjoyment to see Moo, see the reactions of Moo, because the first time I took Moo in the bar too was her first time, and then she really reacted to it like she was an old bar hen for many years.
Moo body right up there. There you go.
Moo to me is one trustworthy animal. I get along with her better than I get along with people.
I don't think she thinks of herself as a goat at all. She's a person. She's not an animal, she's a person.
You're attributing to them human characteristics which they don't have. They're not human, they're animals.
But they are like people. They're very human.
They're not people, they're animals.
I always thought parrot is one of the most funny creatures, And that's why I start to design different costumes for different characters. I ever create about 250 costumes. She make every Yankee jealous now. Sure. They look so comical, especially when they walk around. Make them look like they got arms, and like they move like real people.
No, just leave her alone, that's all. She goes, we all live together. What do you call it, symbiosis? She'll just go stopping by, walk over there and then go the other way. She's dependent on me, obviously, but she's equal. She's not, you can't call her a pet. She lives here. Has her habits in place. We make way. We just all live together. Matter of fact, roaches and everything else in this place. I can go as long as 3 days without feeding them. Gobble, 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 chomp, 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 chomp for about 2-3 hours, and it's all gone. The Bronx Zoo originated the idea with, they have a thunderstorm in their reptile house for the crocodile pit. So I just decided to try it and put her in there. Then I turned the shower on, give her a big heavy downpour. And turn the light on a few times, off and on, to simulate light. I think it works. She seems to be very excited by it, and then relaxed, and then I have to dry her very carefully. Because tortoise's principal disease are chest colds, believe it or not. And so I think there is something to it. I think the thunder shower is necessary for her happiness. They do need same sort of stimulation, excitement that they had in Africa.
Basically, I'm into the megalomorphs and the latrodectus group. There's about 50 up there on that shelf in back of you there, representing at least 2, 3 different species. You know, some people like dogs, some people like cats, some people like tropical fish, stuff like that. I just happen to like spiders. Spiders are cute to me. People have been prejudiced against them for so long. I feel that this is wrong. Even these so-called naturalists who go down studying animals in the Amazon, he sees a big spider eating a bird, and oh my God, this is horrifying. Oh, he chased the spider away, you know, but he shouldn't go chasing the spider away because you just chased away his lunch, and who knows how long he's been waiting for that bird. He didn't identify with the spider. I guess he identified more with the bird because he's a bird brain. What can I tell you?
To me, a spider was like everyone else, looks at it and goes, ah. But after looking at them for a few hours and understanding them a little better, I learned to enjoy them and learn to appreciate the beauty that they really do have.
Well, latrodectus is your black widow, by the way. There's black widows all over the city, I mean, and there's...
The black widows were caught right here in the Bronx. Most of them...
Some could be caught in Manhattan, too, sure.
Yes, anywhere in the whole, in all 5 boroughs they're found.
In all 5 boroughs at one point or another.
The city is probably the worst place to keep an exotic animal. You cannot give it the outdoor exposure. You have problems with sanitation.
This house has an odor. I call it my cat house. The cat means more to me than a baby. I'm having an abortion. Who the hell needs a baby at 40 years old?
I'm single. I don't need any kids. I don't know if I'll ever have any kids, but right now my animals are my kids. It gives me something to take care of, and...
They are like people. It's an unusual way to talk about the fish, but it's like raising a kid.
I don't need children. I got a whole tank of them. We started the tank with 3 damsels. You know, I named them Alex and Dominic and Little Blue. And then he introduced pantherfish. I came down one morning and Little Blue was gone. I was crying hysterically that he had eaten my Little Blue, and I wanted him out because he ate one of my little children. It was gone. I was so upset. To me, they're all people.
I love him so much. He's my child. He's better than a child because he'll never grow up and turn on me. If you have a baby, you think the baby is going to grow up and grow out of its habits. Not with this monkey. You have to depend on having diapers for at least 20 years. I'd love him to have a girlfriend or a wife. I think that would be a perfect family. And he is intelligent. He really is. I taught him to brush his teeth. He'll kiss you. I know he loves me.
Millipede. It's like a long string and has many legs and 2 things sticking up on her head. I take very good care of him. That's why he loves me.
They shouldn't love me. If they'd been left where they were, they would have had a life without me. If they die, I'm responsible. Not I'm responsible for their living.
After a while, if they get sick or they die, you know, it's like you really lose a person.
When they die, you put them in a bag and flush them down the toilet.
If something happened to him right now, I think my wife would be affected to a point where, like somebody in the family had died.
Fish are very, very comforting.
That's the reason my friend, who's a bus driver, he bought one, and he doesn't threaten to throw the passengers off the bus anymore.
Once I started getting back into scuba diving and traveling down to the tropics, I found that anything I had in a fish tank was so incredibly minor to the actual experience of diving on the reefs that I didn't want to collect them anymore.
Saltwater fish trade, as far as I'm concerned, I would ban.
I've had grasses in there.
What they're doing to the reefs is absolutely
disgusting. I've had butterflies in there. They're dead.
They go in and dynamite them.
I've had different types of tangs. They're dead.
They go in and they poison the reefs, and as the animals come out suffocating.
I've had a different clown. He's dead.
The new unexplored region for slaughter is the saltwater fish trade.
It hurts me when any fish dies.
They're in there killing away.
You don't know how long they're going to live. No one knows.
And the same thing with exotics. Nobody in his right mind would want to keep an orangutan, or a gorilla, or a leopard, or a cheetah, or a lion, or, you know, any one of these animals which are coming from environments which are, you know, in many ways threatened.
Leave them all alone. Leave them all in the jungle. Leave them outside the cities.
If you're going to take in an 8-week-old lion cub, you should have undertaken the responsibility to see what an adult's like.
They have to kill the mother to assure live delivery.
Frequently what happens with these wild animals is that the animal, instead of cowering, actually gets aggressive and attacks. They say, oh, it turned on me. Actually, their animal just is acting like a normal animal. And so the immediate thing is, how do I get rid of the animal as soon as it's a problem? The zoos will take very, very few lions. This is really the exception. This is the first lion we've taken from outside the zoo in 7 years, because zoos are overpopulated with lions. You can't send lions from a zoo back into the wild because they're not socialized like the wild lion, and they're not really used to the particular area you're sending them to. And so most of them are killed. So there's no owner responsibility there at all.
Animals do have rights.
Better live out our life.
And we have not recognized them.
Irreplaceable. They're not going to be seen again if we destroy them now.
Ochi here, if you leave her in the house and go out for 4 hours, you have no house. She rips everything up. A chimp can give you a lot of trouble, really. You can use psychology on it. The animal understands to a certain degree.
There are a lot of people in this country who feel very strongly that it should be their right to own a chimpanzee.
She'll understand discipline when she knows she's going to get a good lick. She would learn easy on it, but when she got into mischief, it'd tear things and break things. And then I would have to smack her, you know, on the side of the face or on the back of the head. If I didn't do that, oh, she'd be getting wilder and wilder. Psychology, it doesn't work too good.
The chimps that are purchased by people who feel this way have been, the mother has been shot out of a tree in Africa. If it survived the trip in a box that was nailed shut and didn't get pneumonia in the cargo hold of the airplane, is sold to somebody who proceeds to make a surrogate child out of it. Now for this, a mother was shot out of a tree and the babies were stuffed into a box. I mean, what's the point of all this?
People should understand about the animals. I like to have animals because I relate to them more than I relate to people.
The other coyote went, he bit her. He grabbed him by the neck. He got mad, so he grabbed him by the neck, and he took this tool and took out his fangs to teach him a lesson, and he didn't bite him no more.
I do not think it is a basic right of every American citizen to own an exotic pet.
I wanted something that was still basic and wild, that had its own distinct personality, that wasn't changed so much by man. I got it when I was 4 weeks old. It was air freight from out west. The two of them came together, and I put them both in my bed the night I got it. And, you know, they peed all over the bed, and I had to play mother. I didn't get any sleep the first few nights, but I guess all mothers go through that. I guess I'm in awe of it. It's very beautiful, the browns and the golds in it. It's just like no other pet that I've had. And they're smart because they have a wariness towards people. Man, well, I guess man can't always be trusted. And I guess they recognize that fact. Every time I look at her, I get excited. It's very exciting. I think the principal thing with a wild animal or any animal is that you give it affection and attention. And I think an animal like that can live anywhere. Of course, we all like to go to the country. You know, breathe the fresh air. Maybe it's a little healthier. But I don't think that the animals suffered by being in the city. I mean,
It's to some degree against the law in certain areas, but you just have to take responsibility when you have an animal like that. If you're going to live in a place, then you have to clean it up. You have to clean up the urine and the crap every day to keep it clean. It's so beautiful. I mean, it's just every time I see it prance around the floor, you have visions of the great North Woods or the desert. And it's just the wildness in it, not being domesticated. There's something that of its own creation that it can add towards your life. I'm waiting for it to start howling. I think that would be the next excitement about having a coyote. What I would like to do is breed a lot more of them, set them loose in this part of the country. Set them loose in New York City. It's just, I'd like to see them survive.